Hello and welcome to AZ in the Circle, Arizona Softball Podcast. We got a great show planned for you today. In the Circle, AZ in the Circle today, we have the head coach of Grand Canyon University, Coach Shanon Hays. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
We got a lot of questions I want to cover, basically 5 topics. We're going to talk about the 2023 season, and then your winning culture, and you're entering your 3rd year. And then you signed 8 great players on NLI Day 2024. And then I want to talk about your grad student studs that you have on your team that just got selected as the top 100 players in 2 different types of organizations. And then finally, we'll talk some intangibles between what makes you decide between this player and that player. So first off, the 2023 season, you guys won the WAC championship, Western Athletic Conference, back-to-back. You won it the first year, and then you had that great win versus the number 1 seed, UCLA, in the tournament. Before I ask you about that, I want to set the background here because we are dedicated to shining a light on talented, hardworking high school and college softball players and coaches in and from the 48th state. And so a little background on how you get to back-to-back WAC championships. Now, from what I understand, you played baseball at Texas Tech in the late 80s, early 90s. You're familiar with the head coach there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then after that, for some reason, I was reading your bio, you were coaching basketball, and you were the head coach at Abilene for
Abilene Christian,
who's in the WAC as well now.
Uh-huh.
And coached there for, I think, 6 or 7 years.
Just 3 years there.
3, okay. And then you were an assistant basketball coach at
Texas Tech.
Yep.
Houston.
Yeah, associate head coach at Houston. Yep. And then you were also the athletic director at Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been around the block.
Yeah, so everything's going great. You're an expert. You really are the Renaissance man when it comes to athletics, if you think about it. Because
goodness.
2006, they bring you an opportunity, because I was like, why did he end up being a WAC 2-time champion softball coach? 2006, Lubbock Christian University comes to you and says, hey, we want you to start a brand new softball program for us. And you're like, you took a leap of faith.
For
right?
sure.
For sure. Because you're on the uptake on basketball, and you say, sure, you take that leap of faith, and you take a year, 2006, 2007, to recruit your players, put your culture in, and then before you hit the field. There was another coach that did that recently, Coach Marissa Young at Duke. She did that. I think she's on Team 7, but at some point she took her number 1 recruit, and she said, hey, there's my vision. We're going to build the field right here. You're going to be my first signee. And lo and behold, they've won the ACC championship since then.
Yep.
So, and then now I hear that you did the same thing. But in your first year of playing Lubbock Christian as the head coach, you guys win the NAIA National Championship. You win 59 games.
Yep.
59. I think you were 59-9-2. That's pretty outstanding.
I had a great group.
Yeah. It's always based off a great team. I totally get that, but there's something, and we'll get to that later, back to the reason why you've won back-to-back WAC championships. And then the next year you win 58 games. Then you get the knocker, opportunity knocks again, and says, hey, why don't you come over across town? How far is Lubbock Christian College or University to Texas Tech?
3 miles.
3 miles. So you basically go across the street to Texas Tech. And to this day, you're still the most winningest coach in Texas Tech softball history. So that's pretty awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah. And then from there, is that how you got to Grand Canyon, or was another stop?
Well,
before?
it's kind of crazy how it all worked. First of all, I'll go back to, I grew up playing fast pitch softball, and my dad pitched professionally. And so in the summers after baseball season, he was coaching, we'd go start playing fast pitch when I got old enough to do it. And so, and I had that connection with the game. And then, I had a connection with Lubbock Christian and knew the president well, and had young kids at that time, and we wanted to move back to Lubbock, Texas. And so it was a leap of faith to get into fast pitch softball. I didn't even know the rules. I didn't know you could, re-enter people in the lineup, and I learned as I went. But they did allow me to recruit a team for a year, and so while everybody else was out coaching, I went and recruited a team and was lucky and got some great players and had a phenomenal team. So I went into softball thinking I'll go back into basketball a couple of, after a year or two. And I've never wanted to do that. So
That's great.
too much fun coaching softball.
Yeah. And then from there, I think that's when you got the offer to.
So I got out of coaching softball for a while to work with one of my friends so I could coach my own sons. And they were playing baseball. They were doing the travel baseball deal. I did that for a couple of years and had a blast and got the itch to get back in it. Went to Colorado Christian University and then ended up going to Oklahoma Christian University so I could kind of get back close to home to the in-laws, and they have such phenomenal facilities at Oklahoma Christian, some of the best in the country. But when I did that, my dad took my place as the interim coach. He moved from Lubbock, Texas after 50 years, moved to Denver and to coach Colorado Christian. He knew the AD there, and now he's in his 6th year as the interim coach there. They were, I think, 50.
6-year interim coach? Is that
year,
a record?
Yeah, I guess. And he's 79 years old coaching there, and they were 57-6 last year, top 15. He's had phenomenal years there, and so it's fun to watch that. And then when I left and went to Texas Tech, my brother, who had been in pro baseball and then coaching baseball, they talked him into coaching fast pitch softball at Lubbock Christian, and now he's been there for 10 years. So, and my oldest son is coaching at North Texas in fast pitch softball there. He's an assistant there for Rodney DeLong. So it's kind of been in the family. We all went to softball.
I imagine, what do you guys talk about over the holidays?
Not track and field.
Yeah. And one thing that stood out when I was reading your bio was, this is just for our fans really and people watching, this was a testimonial for Coach when they hired you at GCU. And this is from Coach Grant McCashland. Coach Hays is the ultimate winner on and off the field. He has a genuine heart for Christ, his family, and the team he coaches. I've never met anyone that could connect with student athletes in a way that gets them to achieve their full potential individually and as a team to compete for championships as quickly as he can. GCU will win at the highest level because of his heart and passion to win the right way. Now, Coach Grant McCashland is the head coach of North Texas men's basketball. So here's a basketball head coach giving you that testimonial.
He's actually the head coach at Texas Tech now.
Okay.
So and they just made it in the top 25. He owed me some good comments because I gave him one of his first jobs, so he had to be nice.
Yep.
It's fun to see him do so well, and he was my assistant at Midland Junior College back when I was coaching men's basketball. So
that's quite a compliment there.
I appreciate him saying that.
And then you get a coach. She's now the head coach at University of New Mexico, Coach Dixon, who was at Stephen F. Austin, and she also says some good things about you. Said you're a proven winner, and I had a chance to talk to her recently, and she used to mow her own lawn at the field at Stephen F. Austin.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I first met Nicole when she was an assistant at Howard Junior College in Big Spring, Texas. And talk about somebody who was a great recruiter and still is a great recruiter and coach. I hate playing her teams.
Yep.
We play them again this year, so won't be any fun.
Okay. Well, good. So that gives us some context to, hey, back-to-back head coach of 2023 and 22 WAC championships. And the first year with Grand Canyon University, you guys go to the first ever NCAA appearance in Grand Canyon's history. You win the WAC championship for the first time in the program's history, and you get selected as Coach of the Year. So then okay, that's where we're going to start. Oh my gosh, where do we go from there? And so, let's recap that 2023 season and how you felt you picked up from 2022, please.
Well, first of all, I inherited some really good players like Kristen Fifield and Gianna Nicoletti, some super talent, and we added some super talent like Kinsey Kelso. We brought her in to catch, and she was the Gold Glove of the WAC last year. She was won a national championship at OU, and she's on my staff now as my grad assistant. But we added some really good pieces. KK Dunkel, she came with me from Oklahoma Christian. She's a California kid, shortstop, 2-time All-Region, great player. So, and Ariel Thompson, who was at North Texas, and had a lot of success there. Another Oklahoma kid that immediately helped us in the circles. So you can be coach of the year if you've got the best players.
Yep.
And growing up as a coach's kid, I learned very quickly that if you have a good roster and good players and kids that have character and like to compete, you're going to be a good coach. If you don't, you won't be a good coach. It's that simple. So we just, had a special group. And then this past year, 2023, we added Ramsey Lopez to our lineup, who's, one of
bomb
the
hitter, right?
Yeah, she hit, I think, 18 home runs for us last year and was, I think, 5th in the nation in RBI. And, of course, with Kristen leading the nation in RBI. And then we had Hannah Burnett, who was a JUCO kid from Northeast Oklahoma, junior college, but one of the fastest kids in the country. And she's, I think she was 50 for 51 stolen bases and hit over 400 for us. And so we had some impact kids, and we improved our pitching and our depth this past year. Brought in Emily Darwin, who's from Benson, Arizona, and her dad was a big league pitcher, and her uncle Danny, pitched for the Astros forever and was a all-star pitcher, and she's got that bloodline, and she really helped and bolstered our staff. And Mary Beth did a great job, building our staff up. Obviously, if your pitching's good, you can have a good team as well. That's the foundation of our team. And so I think last year we ended up with a 2.4 or 2.3 ERA to go from over 5 when I got here. We just got better every year, and so it was a super year. We underachieved it, even though we're 47-13. There were some things we didn't get done that we wanted to get done, but we played great in the conference tournament. And Kayla Rogers, who came from Yavapai College from Prescott, she was the MVP of that tournament, and we went in kind of with a little bit of a point to prove, and played a good game against UCLA. I wish we could have kept it going the next day, but the girls stepped up and competed all year long. I mean, I think last year our worst loss, Washington beat us 5-0 in the last game of a tournament, and other than that, it was either one-run losses or we won the ball game. So our girls were in every game. They competed, and hopefully we can carry that over this year. We feel like we've brought in some great kids like Ashley, and so we're super excited to get started here in a couple of weeks, that's for sure.
With those high performers, you think that the game, in order to be a high performer, you think the game has to slow down for them to perform so great. So you think the experience of, hey, beating a number 1 seed there, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out that to get to the super regional, but you think that experience is going to really benefit you this year because the game continues to slow down for these great players, and they continue to perform great in what for most people would be a big pressure-packed situation, but for them it's routine.
Well, you hope so, but every day and every game's a new. That's the fun of it, huh? I mean, it's always something new. You can play great one game and then come out in the next game, either you don't pitch it well or you don't see it well, and we talk about all the time with our team. Some of these great Major League Baseball teams that win 100 games, that means they lost 60, or 62. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to have some times that you don't play well, play your best. Hopefully you can still give yourself a chance to win. That's a little bit what happened with UCLA. A great team, had a dominant year, but had 2 weekends where they just weren't playing well. And so hopefully you're playing well at the right time. We have enough experience this year with 8 seniors where we're hoping that we get it rolling and play well at the end, and you got a great team if you can play well all year. So that's the goal.
Great, super. And then winning and playing great starts with a winning culture. And now that you're entering your 3rd year, I wanted to ask you, what was your vision for the type of culture you wanted to develop as a head coach at Grand Canyon when you took the helm back in June of 2021? Is it something you said, hey, this worked for me in the past, I've won championships with it, I know it'll work, or you keep evaluating, you keep being a better coach as the years go by? Well, you hope so, but what was that vision that you had for the team when you first arrived at in Phoenix?
Well, I've I've had enough experience and watching it as a kid. If you every year's a new year, but when you come in and start a new program, you know, if you have a good roster, you've got a chance. Obviously, it starts with pitching, so you need to recruit well and recruit good arms. But to me, a winning culture is recruiting kids that love to play and that have character. One of the reasons I coach at Grand Canyon, it's a faith-based school, and that's a big draw for most of the roster that we bring in. They love the idea that GCU is a faith-based school and a Christian school. And now we're the largest private university in America, even bigger than Liberty, and so that's a big selling point for us. And so having a good culture, we've got 3 rules. It's pretty simple: have fun, compete, and have fun. That's the number 1 rule. That's why you play. Number 2 rule: be kind, be thankful. That's part of being a good person and being a good teammate. And the number 3 rule is it's not even a rule. It's just a saying. It's just softball. It's not life or death. Go have fun, do number 1, and number 2, compete, get after it. And whatever happens after that, just deal with it. And sometimes it's going to go your way, but don't be spoiled to think it's always going to go your way, especially when you're playing in a team setting. Just do your best to be a good teammate and compete every day and have fun. And that's all we ask of our players, and when you get a good group that buys into that, it's pretty easy.
That's great. What about identity? Because that culture, the more I've talked to coaches, the winning culture is one thing, and then you try to figure out what the identity is. Is there an identity that you wish for your team to have, or do you just say, yeah, I wonder what the identity is going to be this year, or do I want to instill certain things so I know they're going to be a certain identity?
Well, of course, there are things you want your team to have. Yeah. We talk about being a tough team, and what I mean by being tough is being able to handle different variables that are thrown out in front of you: winning, losing, who you're facing, the pitching, how you feel, just coming every day and trying to bring it for your teammates, and because it's fun to do. And so, but one thing I have learned, every year your team has a different identity, because you can have injuries and you can add different pieces that can enhance or maybe sometimes detract a little bit from what you're trying to do. So I try to keep it very simple, and our girls can tell you that I'm not smart enough to overthink anything. So I try to go with what I think works, and that's have great players and try to have a good staff. And we're so lucky, our team and myself, to have just great assistants and staff. They really run things now. My young ones do. So that makes it fun. If it's fun, you want to go show up every day and do it. So we try to make it fun.
That brings us to the staff. The next thing I want to talk about, but in conjunction with your national letter of intent signing, 2024, you signed 8 great athletes, 8 great student athletes. But I want to take back that class and move it back a year before that, when it was September 1st of their junior year. And I like it. Maybe not inside softball much, but I don't know if it's that inside softball. I love to hear how you work with the staff in your war room on September 1st to say, okay, who are we attacking first? Who are we going after? Or because it seems like NLI Day is more of a celebration. It's like, hey,
yeah.
But the war room, the strategy, the competitiveness, right? Because you're not playing, but the competitiveness is, hey, can we get this recruit to come? Can you shine a light on what's Coach Wendt do? What's Coach Gorsuch do? What's Coach Sherrill? How does it all work?
Well, you have to be opportunistic, number one. So how you do things can change depending on who you find out is interested. Obviously, you have your needs that you go after. I think most programs are like us. You try to sign a good pitcher every year if you can, and then address needs. And you have to be a little bit of a, like you're looking at a crystal ball to see how things are going to be 2 years from now.
Projection.
Your projections, everything. It used to be so hard because when we were committing kids, 8th and 9th graders, and trying to project 4 or 5 years, that's impossible. Well, now what makes it hard is, of course, the portal. You can project 2 years down the road, but if the portal changes things for you, that makes it tough. since I've been here at Grand Canyon, it's been great for us because we haven't really lost anybody like that that's just, left for a different one reason or the other. And so our rosters stayed pretty steady. And so, but that can change at any time. But yeah, being opportunistic, going at trying to find your leads and ends, and then going and selling your product. And I feel, with Sid and her name, and her coaching our infield, and Mary Beth, and especially how she's well known in Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and her having the pitchers and their youth. And then I always say Sandra and I are the older, experienced, and with Sandra's experience and what she does, it's cool, the dynamic that we have. Adding Kinsey, she can't go out and recruit since she's a GA, but with on-campus recruits and her being our catcher's coach, we're kind of in a sweet spot here. I wish I could keep them forever, but they'll get rated. They'll be head coaches themselves, and so. But we've got a neat dynamic right now. Having a list, trying to decide who's at the top of your list is obviously an art. It's things we talk about all the time. Who's the best fit? It's fun. It really is fun. There's pressure, but I tell you what, every time you commit a really good player and a good kid and a good fit, it feels like you won 20 games.
That's awesome.
Because you can see down the road how that kid will fit in, and I think the biggest positives that we've had with our program since I've been here, along with the success we've had, is our recruits, the wins that we've had in recruiting, and we really feel like we've had some really good classes and already committed some 25, a great 25 class that, of course, I can't talk about, but I'd love our 24 class. Next year we're going to be young, losing the experience that we have, but we'll at least be talented and young, so that'll be exciting too.
Yeah, you said, Coach, you're graduating 8 studs, and so you signed 8 studs. I love to talk a little bit about the athletes you signed, and when I read on these athletes, it's like you picked every single type of position. You got right away your left-hand pitcher, Oakley Vickers from Oklahoma, can zing it. And then you got the corner power position, power hitter, Jada Cooper. And then Sydney, left-handed hitter, slapper, super fast. And then you got some Arizona talent, and Bria Williams. She's a multi-sport athlete, super athletic. And then Ariana Wright, two-way player. She can throw it and hit, which is great to see, because a lot of times a lot of student athletes say they're a pitcher and they hit, but they love the game of softball. So a lot of times that question is, Coach, if I come to Grand Canyon, can I be a two-way player? And to see you sign a two-way player, that's gotta open up the eyes of prospective student athletes out there. And then I think Marie, hope I'm not missing everybody, out of Wyoming.
Oh yeah, Macy Selfers.
Yeah, okay.
Speed kid.
Macy. Macy.
Yeah, she's a kid from Wyoming. It's funny, they just started playing softball in Wyoming, and she came to our camp, and you look for different needs, but she can fly, and so we recruited her to come in and pinch run for like our power kids, and we have several kids on our roster every year who are so invaluable for us that come in and they want to go to Grand Canyon. But she's a talented kid. She may end up being in our lineup eventually because she's so fast. But yeah, she fits that need of immediately if somebody can come in and run for your power kids that may not be as fast.
Good. Well, tell me a little bit about those.
Well,
because then we can project them when 3 years from now, when they're here on the show, or 2 years from now, we can say, hey, we this is what your coach said about you.
Oakley is the huge recruit from. There's a lot of great recruits in that class, obviously. But she's huge because she's a 5'10" lefty that, one of the top lefties in the country coming in, and she's with the Oklahoma Athletics Organization. I think the team she's on was like 3rd in PGF picked. Her and the other pitcher that's going to Texas, 2 stud pitchers. They got a great team. We've got 3 girls on that team, so she's coming in, mid-60s kid. She's only going to get better as she's stronger. And then Willa Ford, who is on that athletics team, who's an Oklahoma kid, was a huge recruit for us. She's a utility kid, third, short, wherever. But in fact, her brother, tell you what kind of athlete she is. Her brother will probably be in the top 3 rounds this year. He's a edge rusher at OU. So she's big in that class. We've got the Nevada Defensive Player of the Year, state champs, Haley Wilkinson, left-handed hitting shortstop, talented kid, and Bria was a kid that we loved for a long time. I thought she's from Iran or Iraq.
Baghdad.
Excuse me, not Iran. That shows you how dumb I am.
Arizona.
Yeah, but it's her coming from Baghdad. I always say she's done 4 tours in Baghdad, but adding another athlete, great kid. We love that part of it. But then those 2 JUCO All-Americans, they're both freshman JUCO All-Americans. The McCray kid, center fielder, as you said, speed kid, great athlete. Her brother, third rounder, I think Brian's his name, or for the Giants. So he lives here in Scottsdale. And so that was one of the big reasons we got her. I remember her dad, Hal McCray. They call him Crash McCray. He's the one that ran through the fence for the White Sox.
Okay.
So we got it shows you her bloodline. Great athlete. They were the national champs, Florida Southwest last year. And then, of course, Ari, the two-way player, mid-60s thrower, hit 20-plus home runs last year. We've had some good luck taking some JC transfers. We've got Lovey Kapaa, who will, if she's healthy, be our third baseman this year, and she was the National Player of the Year 2 years ago from Yavapai. And so we've had...
You picked up the JUCO All-American Micaiah
MK.
MK.
You say Micaiah. I forget her name because she only goes by MK, but... Yeah,
from South Mountain right here.
She went to South Mountain, had a great year last year. She spent her first 2 years at University of Utah, and just a good, solid all-around player and outfielder, and gives us another option in the outfield. We've got Bryn Jordan Smythe from Perry, who's a real talented local kid for us, and then Savannah Grosjean Kirk. That played with Storm as well, who will most likely be in our lineup. 2 great athletes that can really run to go with our power kids. And, of course, we got Tree at the top of the
So you got
order,
a lot of competition going on in practice.
We really do, and these girls can tell you that. I mean, we're battling right now to see who's hot and who's going to play at the first. But it's problems, but it's good problems to have. My first year here, just having 9 good players was what we're shooting for, and now we've got a good roster that with some depth.
Yeah, you did mention earlier before we started filming that today, day and age, you got 9 great hitters from the lead spot to and the difference maker usually is the pitching. That's where the difference is.
Having that, a lot of people have that one big arm. We've got good arms. In fact, we'll have 6 that throw for us this year. We have good depth, and so the way we're going to have to attack people is just how, we played UCLA last year. You may see us throw, 2-3 girls every game. Not let the other lineup see us too much, but we've got Haley Hudson and Ariel Thompson, who were both here last year, who are seniors, and then we added Megan Schumacher, who spent 4 years at Missouri and had a super career there, and she'll be our other senior. So we've got 3 senior pitchers, and she's an upper 60s girl, and we've got some good arms with some good velocity. And we bring Darwin back, who's an upper 60s girl, who will be a junior, and then Megan Golden had a great year for us last year, especially when she was healthy, and so we've added a freshman, Alina Satcher. Those 6 will, you'll see. I'll throw all of them every weekend, and we're excited about our pitching, just the variety that we can throw out there, and we've got some good arms. So Mary Beth's done a great job with them, and hopefully we can get off to a good start.
Yeah, and that's just days away. Tell us about Well, I wanted to talk about. You talked about a lot of your players already. I want to talk about two other ones. You might know them. They're these grad student athletes, Ashley and Kristen. They've been ranked the two top 100 players in the country. A little bit about them and what's it meant to have. She graduates from Santa Clara, All-American there, and all of a sudden, she just falls out of the sky and says, "Hey, I want to go to Grand Canyon University." How was that?
I try to forget about those two because they're usually a headache. I had to ride over here with them, and especially Kristen. This being my third year with her, no, they're obviously very blessed to have them, part of a great group. They're true team kids. They relish playing on a good team and playing for their teammates. So that's the character part of it. They're both great student athletes. Fifield ended up being, she was in the running for the NCAA Woman of the Year. In fact, I call her Woy sometimes because she's our Woman of the Year, and that's of all sports. She made the finals of that, so that tells you what kind of year she had last year. Graduating last year.
RBIs for like 9 weeks in a row or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and she ended up being the national leader in RBIs. And part of the reason why that is because we had Hannah Burnett, who's one of the leading run scorers, our leadoff hitter.
She got on base.
Stole bases all the time. So Fifield just cherry picked those RBIs.
Yeah.
Of course, the 22 home runs helps too. Well, now we've got Ashley Trierweiler, who came in, and she'll be our leadoff hitter this year. And she didn't have a very good year, though, last year because she only finished second in the nation in overall hitting in average. She led it there for about 2 weeks before the end of it. But the kid from Wichita State clipped her at the end, so I think she ended up hitting like 485. Her worst year, she hit 398. So we're just hoping she's average this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a career 460 hitter. So, adding her to our roster was icing on the cake, of course. We've got a deep roster. We'll have some really good young freshmen. We've got a big-time freshman catcher in Tinley Lucas, a kid from Oklahoma, 6 foot tall, I think one of the best recruits in the country for that position for sure. So adding her was big. And then Alexis Soto that came over from Liberty to get closer to home. She's from Huntington Beach. That'll be a lot of our catching. And we've got depth at every spot. But, yeah, those two, we're counting on them to be top of the order girls, and with their experience and what they've done, we're hopeful.
Yeah, to me, it seems like they'd be almost like a player coach, and they calm things down. Their veteran leadership.
Well, they're more mature than their coach anyway, so that's probably a good way to put it.
Good.
Or at least they think they are.
Good. And then finally, what are the intangibles you look for when obviously the kid's talented, they're hardworking, and you got one more spot left, and they're I don't know, pick a position. Maybe they're a shortstop or a center fielder or a catcher or pitcher. What's the difference maker for the young student athletes out there to say, hey, this is what I need to work on? Yeah, I got to be hardworking. Yeah, I got to be talented. But what else? What determines I'm going with this one or I'm going with that one?
Well, competitive nature would be, if you got somebody that loves to go compete and somebody who's confident and that thinks they're good, it's a lot easier to dial somebody down than it is to turn somebody up, in my opinion. And so, you want somebody, I won't say that's arrogant, but that's confident and feels like they can get the job done, just like, Kristen and Ashley. I mean, they want to be great, and they know they're good, and they push themselves to be good. All the time I talk to, especially at camps, we'll ask, hey, what do you think the number one thing coaches are looking for? And they all raise their hand, say, working hard. And we always say, no, that's not the number one thing we're looking for, because that's kind of like wearing your pants the right way.
You better be working hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's a given.
Yep.
If you don't come and work hard in any program in college now, or go put in your time and try to get better, you're not going to last, and you're certainly not going to be as good as you can be. So, But I'd say competitiveness, and then for us, fit in our program at GCU. I'm too old to want to have to deal with, stupid problems and things like that. I want somebody that comes in and that's serious about getting their degree and being a student athlete and having fun and playing softball. And we try to keep it that simple.
Amen. Well, Coach, thank you for taking time just a few days before the season kicks off to spend some time here with us and talk to the fans out there to say what Grand Canyon University is all about, the softball program. And if you out there liked what you saw and you think we earned your subscription, then please subscribe and like us. And once again, thank you for tuning in.